Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to make 3 cards using Stampin' Up's Sweetest Cherries stamp set. Here it is. I didn't have it where I thought I had it. So here is the stamp set. So cute. This one is available in the 2022 to 2023 annual catalog and will also be in the new 2023 to 2024 annual catalog. That's a mouthful. The difference is, in the current catalog that will be ending at the end of April, you can get this with the Cherry Builder Punch as a bundle, and when you order it as a bundle you get 10% off. With the next catalog you'll only be able to order them separately, which you can also do now, but you just don't get the discount that way. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. And I'll also be using for one of the cards one stamp from Go To Greetings. I love the sentiment stamp set, and I use this Happy Birthday quite a lot. I like all of these stamps, but that one is definitely my most used. Okay, let's start. Oh, let me tell you a little bit about this class. Okay, so whenever you place an order with me, now through April 19th, that reaches $35 before tax and shipping, you will get the cardstock, all the pieces to make the cards, and you'll get 2 sets. So you'll be able to make 2 cards of each design, and there's 3 designs. When your order reaches $50 before shipping and tax, you'll also get, I've got it hidden over here, a package of our linen thread. So, and that's just a bonus, a thank you from me. So, to do that, just use this host code right up here whenever you place your order, and I'll know that, hey, you want to get this class to go, and the class to go doesn't cost you anything extra. And as I'm showing you how to put these cards together, you'll see exactly what it is that you're going to be getting as part of your class. And also, of course, I will be mailing out the PDF. I'll email that to you as well, so if you don't want to watch the video again, you can just look at the PDF and you'll have all the measurements and all that good information there. And these classes will be mailed out by Saturday, April 22nd. So orders can be placed through the 19th. I'll get all your materials ready and I'll have them in the mail on their way to you by April 22nd. Okay, let's start stamping. Alright, so this first card that we're going to be making is one I've cased straight out of the catalog, and you might have already seen it on my blog. It posted earlier this morning. This one, my version is just a little bit bigger. I think it's a 1/4 inch bigger this way and another 1/4 inch this way. So the measurements for this whole piece of cardstock here are 6 1/4 by 6 1/2, and you score it at 3 1/4 inches. This piece here is 2 1/2 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Okay, now let me show you what you get. So here's what you'll be getting in the mail. And then if your order reaches the $50 mark, you also get, like I said before, this linen thread. So each of these envelopes will have your pieces in it that you need to put your card together. I can't send any stamped images, but I can send die cut pieces. I can send punched out pieces from our punches, and I can send embossed pieces. So I'll get all of those ready for you. So this color is Bubble Bath. Here's all the colors we're going to be using on this card. And this one and the Copper Clay, these are 2 of our new colors. We're getting a color refresh with this new catalog, so those are not available until the new catalog is available. So May 2nd, unless you're a demonstrator. If you're a demonstrator, you can get them now. And if you want to sign up to be a demonstrator, I would love to have you join my team, and you can add any of these new colors to your starter kit, which is pretty awesome. So our starter kits are build your own, so you don't have pieces that are already picked for you. You get to pick exactly what you want in your kit, which I think is pretty amazing. Okay, so the first thing I did was use my liquid glue to attach that piece as straight as I could to my card base. Now, I like to use my little silicone mat here whenever I'm gluing my pieces together. So I'm just going to lay all of my cherries down here and then separate my pieces out a little bit. And I might throw in some extra pieces if you want to do something a little different, or if you lose a piece, or if I lose a piece, then it won't be the end of the world. Of course, if you purchase the bundle, then you can always cut more pieces or change the colors up to match your style. So I changed the colors up a little bit from what was in the catalog just because I wanted to use some of the new colors, and these just fit my style a little better. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the end of each of these stems, and you can also put a little bit of glue there and then just make them kind of kiss each other, and then you've got glue on both sides, or not both sides, but both stems. There we go, and see, there is one left over in this one. Kind of got a lot of glue on that one, but it'll be okay. Okay, so there's that. So now I'm going to use that glue and add my stems. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue right here. Then add my little leaf. And there is no exact way to do this. I did kind of follow an idea I saw in the catalog, but it doesn't have to do that. You can get as creative as you want with this. And see how I'm getting kind of messy with this glue? It helps that I'll be able to pull it right off of this, and it's not going to stick or mess up my desktop or my grid paper. Okay. So now to attach all of these, I'm going to use my Stampin' Dimensionals. And I don't send these as part of the kit. I just assume that you already have a few basic supplies. So a paper trimmer and adhesives are some of those things that I just assume that you've already got handy. And if not, oh my goodness, did you see what I just did? I was just talking away, and I put my dimensionals on the front. Don't want to do that. I want them on the back. Let's see if I can get these up. I don't think I'm going to be able to without a bit of a mess. So this is the one that I'll be putting, I'll kind of hide it with my sentiment and it'll be okay. So I could take these bloopers out to where you didn't see what a mess I am when I'm stamping some days. But I like to leave them in because I like for you to know that sometimes we make mistakes, even when we've been stamping a while, especially if we're talking and distracted. And most of the time, those mistakes are easily fixable. Okay, and I do like to use a lot of Stampin' Dimensionals. start by putting this red one right here in the middle. Then this pink one I'll put over here because I want it to be kind of hidden because I messed it up. So I am going to make sure that my dimensional is not on top of the red one. And then this pink one I'm going to just kind of tuck under here. That works. See, I don't know if you're noticing, but there's really no rhyme or reason to this. I am not making my pieces match. Oh, I did it backwards. This is not the one that I messed up. This is. Thank goodness, this is so forgiving. Okay. So there we go. And then this one, I'm going to tuck it under. And I want it to where this, I don't like having things hang over the edge, so there we go. Okay, so now I've got this boo-boo here. That's okay. I'm going to stamp my sentiment on this piece. And you have some choices when stamping your sentiment. One of those choices is you can do like I did here on the example, and you can stamp it in Versamark and heat emboss with white embossing powder. And I was going to show you how to do that, but I can't seem to find my reversible tweezers. They're not where I normally keep them. And this is a very small piece of cardstock. I don't want to burn my little fingers. So rather than doing that, I am going to show you a couple of colors that you could use. So I recommend for this kit, for this class, that you have Starry Sky, Real Red, and Old Olive inks. You can see you don't need a lot of inks here. And you can use the Starry Sky, or you can use the Real Red. I like to stamp it as close to the bottom as I can get it. And then take my paper trimmer I'm going to trim the top of this off. Okay. So now I'm going to use my Banner's Pick-a-Punch, and I need to make sure I'm putting this in the right way. So I'm going to put this in here, and you can see where you're punching. So I just try to line it up in the center. And you want to make sure that you're not actually punching any of the letters. So I cut that pretty close, but it's okay. So, and then this one, same thing. I'm going to line it up on the side, and you can see if I push it all the way in, you can see some of that F. So I'm going to bring it back some. Just make sure it's centered up as close as I can get it. And again, I got it really, really close, but that's okay because it's close on the other side. So I feel good about that. I will send one piece that is already punched, and I'll send another piece that's not, so that you can, if you want to try getting it just right on the piece that's already punched and cut and ready to go, you can. Or if you want to have a bigger piece that you can stamp on and then do like I did and trim it down and punch it, then you can do that. That's usually the way that I prefer to do it, but I know some people, like, they're really good at just centering that up and getting it where it needs to be. So I think I'm going to use the blue. I like the contrast. So again, this color is Starry Sky. And see where I messed up my cardstock there. It's going to be just fine because I'm going to put that right over it. There we go. So there's our first card. Pretty easy to put together even when you make a couple of boo-boos like I did. Okay, so this next card has a balmy blue base. I've already embossed the first piece with the time-worn top embossing folder. So I'm just going to use my liquid glue. I'm going to go ahead and stick that to my card base. That way I don't have a piece just floating around that I might misplace later. And there are words on this, so I just always make sure that my words are facing the right direction, that they're eligible, and not upside down. Okay. So my next piece is a piece from Tea Boutique Designer Series paper. It measures 2.5 inches by 4 inches. And what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to put it right here. And I'm using my grid paper. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, so I'm going to put it right here. Now you can see it. All right, so I've got it lined up right there pretty straight. And I'm going to use my little ruler. And I'm going to keep it straight here at the 1/2 inch mark. And then I'm going to find the middle, which is right there. I'm going to make a little bitty dot. Then I'm going to use my paper snips. And I'm going to start from one corner and go to that dot straight as I can. And then I'm going to start at the other corner. I did that one a little weird, I think, but went straight to that. And then you can still see my little dot, so I'm just going to carefully erase that off. And then I have a nice little banner. And I'm going to go ahead and use my dimensionals again to attach this to my cardstock. This Tea Boutique Designer Series paper is on sale right now. I believe, okay, don't quote me on this, but I believe it is $8.60, which is still of a deal for this gorgeous paper. Of course, you'll be getting this piece in your kit when you place your order. There's so much more to this Designer Series paper than just this one piece. Okay, there we go. Alright, so let's put together, oh my goodness. I just realized I didn't show you how to do the inside of the card or the envelope for the previous one. So let's do that after we get this done. Okay. So there's the first part. Now I'm going to take my sponge daubers. You could also use, if you don't have sponge daubers, but maybe you have the new blending brushes, you could also use those. And I'm just going to add a little bit of this real red. You could also do sweet sorbet, because that's what the cardstock is. But I thought to make it easier, just in case you don't have all of these colors yet, let's just go ahead and use the real red and add some contrast. Okay. And then for the leaves and the stems, I've got garden green, but I'm going to use Old Olive because I'm using Old Olive on my other card. And it works just as well on this one. Okay, so I'm using this, I guess it's a basket weave. I'm going to stamp off once. And then I think I'm going to stamp 2 at a time. So I'm going to stamp these 2. It doesn't have to be straight. I'm going to just stamping willy-nilly here. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. You can use your finger or a piece of cardstock. I like my Take Your Pick, so I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to do the same thing for these other 2. Okay, So now I'm going to use another sponge dauber. And I'm going to use that old olive ink again. I don't know why I closed it just now. And I'm just going to go around the edges of my leaves. This card will be posted to my blog later today. So you'll be able to see it and see the supply list. Oh, and the supply list is also part of what you'll be getting as part of your class to go. So when you get the PDF with the dimensions and everything, you'll also have the supply list for all of the different materials I use, including the sponge daubers and the punches and the paper trimmer, all those things. And I'll have a suggested list over on my blog by tomorrow showing exactly what I recommend that you have to put this class together, like the inks and the punch and things. Okay, so we've got our pieces again. I'm going to get that silicone mat just because I find it super handy. And I want my stems to be facing this way, both of them. So I'm going to take my glue, put it right there. There we go. There's that one. And there is that one. And then I'm going to take a couple of these leaves. It's not the way I usually do that. Good thing I'm using my silicone mat, huh? Alright, I'm going to put that down there. You could also, especially since I've already got so much glue down there, so I'm going to put one in the front and I'm going to put the other one behind it. There we go. I like that. Okay, and you can see I have an extra leaf here. I'm only going to use one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the back. And then take this and put it, ooh. Being messy there, so that's why I like having it down on the silicone mat instead. There we go. That looks good, and I'm just going to use my finger and wipe some of that off. Yikes. Okay, and then the next part that I have to do is use that birthday wishes sentiment. I'm going to use real red again. And I have a little scrap. Again, I'm giving you 2 scraps of this basic white so that if something happens when you're stamping, it's easy to fix. I'm going to use real red and the birthday wishes stamps. And just stamp in the center of that. So you can fussy cut around that. You can just trim it real close. I think I'm just going to trim it a skosh closer than what it is here. So there's that. Trim it that way. And then this isn't going to be perfectly straight, but I'm going to do my best. You could also use your paper trimmer. There we go. Yep, that's kind of wonky. A little better. Okay, now let's put all of this together. So I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to just glue them together. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue just here on this cherry. And I'll be honest, I meant for this cherry to be the one on top, but I messed up when I was putting on the leaves. So it can go right there. And then I'm going to use my dimensionals again. I like to stick them together. Put one up here. I'm going to put one holding these leaves down. Okay, so these guys can go, I don't know, I guess about right there, like so. No, I don't want them like, yep, that's going to work. Okay, so those can go right there. And then this one, I'm going to put liquid glue on the side with the bee on it. So just behind the bee, put some liquid glue there. Then I'm going to use 2 more dimensionals on the other end. Okay, now these next couple of steps are up to you on whether you do them or not. If you're doing the $50 order, you'll get the linen thread, and you can just tie a little bow and then attach it right about here. So I like to do just a tiny dollop of glue, or cut a glue dot in half. You can use half a glue dot, kind of roll it up and put it behind the knot. There you go. I'm just going to hold that down with that. And then my final little touch here is going to be a couple of rhinestones. Need to open a new package soon. I'm getting really low on these guys. This is the first embellishment I ever bought, and it is my favorite. I've gone through so many packages of these. They're just simple. That should be dry, and ta-da! There is our second card. So let's not end there. Let's do the inside. So for this one, I forgot to put it in this kit, but you'll have this in your kit as well. So you can put a piece of this is just a scrap of that designer series paper, so you can put it along the side, you can put it along the bottom or the top. I'm going to go with the side this time. You can put it right up against the edge, or you can leave a little bit of a little bit of the white showing. I think I'm going to put it right up against the edge, and I'm going to use my desk to make sure it's up there straight. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to turn it over and just use my paper snips, trim off the extra, and then I'm just going to place this inside my card. There we go, it's pretty straight. Okay, and then for that other card, there we go. Alright, so we still have, here we go, let's do this. I didn't plan this part out, which is probably why I forgot it. So let's use this cherry. This is the one that has a bite taken out of it. So I'm going to stamp off once, and then I'm going to stamp it here on the bottom of my card. And use that old olive. I'm going to stamp the stem. I'm stamping off once, then I'm stamping the stem right here at the top. Then I have the leaf. So there's 2 pieces to the leaf. You have the leaf, and then you have the veins inside the leaf. So I'm going to take the leaf, stamp off once, and just stamp it right there. It's okay that it's not touching. There we go. And then this goes on the inside of our card. So I'm just going to take a liquid glue, we go. So now we have the inside. Okay, so for our final card, let's see what's inside this envelope. Oh, silly me, I still didn't decorate the envelope, so I guess we'll be doing that at the end. Okay, so here's all of our pieces. Now I'm going to show you two options for this one. This is the inside, so we'll put it aside for now. So the first thing that I want to do is I want some stripes on this piece. And you can do your stripes one of two ways. It just depends on what you have. And you can leave the stripes off if you don't have this. So you would just leave this whole piece off and you could use this for something else. I'm looking for a scrap piece of paper. Here's one. So I'm going to line this up on my grid paper. And I'm going to, just right here on the very, very edge, just make a little bit of a, there we go. And so here, line it up again. And the Stampin' blend that I'm using is the light Real Red. And I'm not trying to make my lines perfect. You can see I'm going under this cardstock scrap a little bit. And you've got to be real careful because you could mess your blend up a little bit doing this. But I think it'll be okay. We're being careful with the tip. It's just kind of the side. That was real wobbly, huh? I did choose my light blend, well, partly because it contrasts a little bit better. It's not so bold and bright, but also I don't use this blend as much as I use the darker one. So if it does get a little messed up, it's okay. But oh, look, it's starting to bleed onto my paper. I'm going to turn that over. There we go. Almost finished with this part, and then I'll show you another option. So if you don't want to do it like that, then you could also, so again, I'm going to line it up with the with my grid paper here, and I'm going to take my small tipped, that's not it, take my small tipped water painter. I'm going to use that Real Red ink. So I always just squeeze my ink. If you have the newer pads, you want to squeeze really hard with the heels of your hand like that. They're just a little tighter. So I'm making a little ink pout here. I'm going to squeeze some water into the tip of my brush. You don't want to use too much water because this is not watercolor paper. This is just regular cardstock, so it will warp if you do too much. Okay, so you can choose, again, based on what you have handy. Just make sure you clean that ink out pretty quick. If you squeeze the water out, I'm squeezing it over here on a microfiber cloth, so I'm just squeezing it and kind of brushing it until the water runs clear and the tip is pretty clean. If you let it set, it'll still clean out, but you might stain your tip a little bit. I think mine stained a little bit blue from not cleaning it out fast enough one time. Okay, so I think this time I'm going to use, oh, Decisions. I'm going to use the painted one. So I'm going to take it now. This measures 2.5 inches wide, so I'm cutting it at 1 1/4. I'm just going to cut it in half. And that gives me 2 pieces. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my Starry Sky ink and that Happy Birthday stamp. let me give you a tip on this one. So there's a lot of this rubber around the edges. So I like to keep a paper towel handy and just kind of wipe some of that ink off so I don't end up with a halo around my sentiment. Okay. I'm going to get that pretty close to the edge there and a little towards the bottom. There we go. That's perfect. And I'm all finished with that color. Alright, so now that that's stamped, I am going to take my Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to put them along the top of this piece. And along the bottom of this piece. Okay. No, I did that backwards. So the bottom of that piece and the top of this piece. Y'all are probably watching me doing that going, what is she doing? That doesn't make sense. So I'm going to put these pretty straight on my grid paper. So handy. And I want, actually I think I did this where you didn't have to cut it in half. So, gonna do it just like that. Just where there's a little border on either side. So you don't have to cut it apart because look at that, it's almost touching. So, and you just want a little bit showing. Okay. So I'm taking that sponge dauber again with the real red ink and I'm just going to go around all of my cherries. Add in a little bit of ink around the edge. There we go. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the other two. This is one of those things you can do as much or as little, or you can skip it all together. And if you're very artistic, you can do exact shading for shadows and such. There we go. Okay, so then I'm going to take the old olive, and I am going to go ahead and close that ink because the way things are going today, I'll probably end up dunking my whole thing in it. Alright, so let's take those little leaves and do the same thing around them. That one was still in my envelope. These little pieces like this, they can get lost pretty easily. Okay, so I'm going to start by going ahead and gluing, good gracious, gluing this to my card base. And I want it at least a ½ inch from the bottom. I'm going to go just a skosh even higher than ½ inch because I can. There we go. Let's put together our cherries now. can see I used a scrap of paper for this one. Pretty old scrap, it looks like. There we go. Let's see what it looks like on the front. Yep, looks pretty good. Okay, so now I do want to line that up a little better down there. There we go. That looks good. Okay, so then this last one, I'm going to put it on the back of the stem, facing down. Oh boy. There we go, just like that. Rather, just like that. Okay, so this first one that has the 2 on it, I'm going to take it, I'm just gluing it right down on my card base. Well, on my stamped piece. Okay, so it's going to go right about there. And you know, I put glue here, but what I really wanted to do was put a Stampin' dimensional there. So I've got some pieces left. I'm just going to cut a little piece off here, and I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. There we go. And I'm just going to slide it boop, right under there. Hold that in place. Okay, so this next one, I'm going to take it and add some more dimensionals. I don't like to waste dimensional material. So now that I've run out of actual dimensionals, I'm just going to use the edges. So just give them a little trim, and then you can use them just like regular dimensionals. You can save them and use these little pieces for little spaces. So that one's going to go there. And this last one, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue up here on this leaf and the little on the stem. I'm going to take some more of those dimensional pieces. You can tell, look, I've got notes on that one. I'll tell you what. Don't ever throw your scraps. Well, within reason. You don't want to keep every scrap ever, but your basic colors that you use all the time, I recommend holding on to any scraps bigger than 2 by 2. Oh goodness. I put this one way too low, didn't I? Okay. There we go. Okay, so you can see I've got a little bit of glue there that I don't want. Thank goodness I have one of these. So I'm going to put a link to this. It's an Amazon link. It's not an affiliate link. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell these right now. They haven't, as far as I know, in many, many years. But it's really handy for picking up adhesive that you might not want on your card. Okay, so got another little bit right there. So I'll add you a link to this so that you know what it's called and where you can get it. And let's add some butterflies. Okay, so the butterflies and the rhinestones are not part of your class to go. they're just extra little bling that I like to use. And if you would like them, you could always add them to your order to help you get up to that $35 or $50, whichever level you want this class to go at. These are my, I love my rhinestones, don't get me wrong, but the brass butterflies are my all-time favorite embellishment in the history of embellishments. I really don't think they're going to be able to top that one for me. Okay, so let's stamp the inside of this one and stamp our card bases. So I think I'm just going to use that same cherry, and I'm not even going to stamp off this time. So I'm going to stamp it right here in this bottom corner. Then I'm going to stamp my stem. Where's that old olive? There it is. So handy that you can see through these stamps. Okay. I am going to stamp. Did you see that? I just stamped my leaf in red. That's no good. I'm going to stamp off and stamp that right there. And then I'm going to take that inside of the leaf. I'm not stamping off this time. I'll stamp it right there. And then let's do some envelopes. Oh, no, let's put this inside of our card first. Getting a little ahead of myself. Okay, so there's the inside. And then for the envelope, so you can see my stamps are a little stained from using all these reds and pinks. That's okay. It doesn't mess them up in any way. That ink is not going to get on anything. It just stains a little bit. Those red colors do. There we go. I like stamping on my envelopes, on the flaps. For the first card that we did, I'm going to stamp off. I'm going to stamp this one on the front. And you know what? I'm going to make the leaf go the other direction. And then, let's see, I think I will do the exact same thing for this other card. We have, can you see them all? Yeah, you can see them all. So there we have all of our cards for this class to go. And remember, you get enough to do 2 cards with matching envelopes. The linen thread is included, a full package of linen thread when your order reaches $50 before tax and shipping. But the butterflies and the rhinestones are not included. Everything else you see here is. You'll just need the stamp set Sweetest Cherries, Of course, it's always nice to bundle it up and get the Cherry Builder Punch as well. And the Go-To Greetings set will be handy, but absolutely not necessary. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you have any questions, let me know. I know this was kind of a hot mess at this time. Lots of accidents, but we fixed them okay. And everything in the PDF should be correct. So you'll be getting that with your class to go whenever you place your order. Again, use this coast code right up here before or by April 19th to get this class. Thanks for watching. Happy stamping.